Hello and welcome to Homer for Monday, October 6th, 2025. Today we'll be reading from lines 208 to 229 and Book 12 of the Iliad, in which we hear more about the snake and we hear about what Pulamas has for advice to Hector furthermore. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and let's begin. And the Trojans shuddered when they saw the writhing snake lying in the midst of them, a portent of Zeus that beareth the aegis. Then verily Pulamas drew near, and spake to bold Hector. Hector, ever dost thou rebuke me and the gatherings of the folk, though I give good counsel, since it were indeed unseemly that a man of the people should speak contrariwise to thee, be it in council or in war, but he should ever increase thy might. Yet now will I speak even as seemeth to me to be best. Let us not go forward to fight with the Danaans for the ships. For thus, methinks, will the issue be, seeing that in sooth this bird has come upon the Trojans as they were eager to cross over, an eagle of lofty flight, skirting the host on the left, bearing in his talons a blood-red, monstrous snake, still living. Yet straightway let it fall before he reached his own nest, neither finished he his course to bring and give it to his little ones. Even so shall we, though we break the gates and the wall of the Achaeans by our great might, and the Achaeans give way, come back over the selfsame road from the ships in disarray. For many of the Trojans shall we leave behind, whom the Achaeans shall slay with the bronze in defense of the ships. On this wise would a soothsayer interpret, one that in his mind had clear knowledge of omens, and to whom the folk gave ear. Wonderful little speech. Let's do it in the Greek. Esteriges Posidonaiolonofin Kemenon Messoisidios Teresagioqueo Da Totepula da Mastas un Hector ue paparastas Hector eben posmoia petleses agoresin Eslafras domenoia peiua de menua de eoike Dämon on taparax agora emenua teni buolei. Potenum polemoi sunde kratosai naexen. Nuon nautex reo hosmoi dokeine arista. Me omen da noisima ke somenoi perinauon. Hodega ektelesta jo vi omaie ete onge. Sin horonis te para semenai me maosin. Aios subsi petes paristera la lono ergon. Vai nen to da conta paron no nucasi paloron. Stona para pe che paros piloi ki castai. Ora teles peron domenai te che si ai oisin. Ose me se perte pulas kaite kosakaion. Exomethas nei megaloi exosi da kaioi. Ua cosmoi para naufin lau somethau takalaufa. Ua luscar troon catalepsomen hus kenakaioi. Kau koide osos in amua nomenoi perineion. Oda kukok rinai tuteo proposos afatumoi. Deia taroan kai voi petoia to laoi. I like that bit at the end there. Oh, sapatumoi, right? So that's in the line beforehand. So we have a sense of enjambment between the two lines. We have this dovetailing, this continuation over. Oh, sapatumoi, right? I think that that's the argument here, right? That so sapa is like wise, right? So wise in spirit. So that's what somebody say if they knew a day, right? That's a complicated form. Tarawon, which you can hear in Tiresias' name, he of the omens, right? See, I didn't really do it in my performance, but the speech definitely, ends on like a high note, right? So la woi, right? It goes up. The accent goes up. And maybe it's because of the fact that, there's always some tension when you second guess a leader in the Iliad, as we've discussed in the past. When interpreting an omen, or when describing a part of the natural world that one cannot understand, you necessarily encounter the authentic division of inspiration. And inspiration and ideology may be in conflict. But at the same time, if you believe that inspiration is a right of the gods, right, and it's something that should be believed in above all else, then you simply must believe inspiration over the cosmology of your rational system, right? Which here might be, don't backtalk Hector, that sort of thing. But there's a bit of an argument here about the circumstance of why or why not they shouldn't go into, try to fight the ships, right? One asks, well, like if this is like totally a, an honor game as opposed to a numbers game, then why do they care that like polus katron catalepsomen, we will lose, or we will leave behind many of the Trojans, right? Who's kenakayo kalkoi deo so sin amun nomenoi perineon, amun nomenoi perineon, right? Who the Achaeans will with bronze strike down. This is a heavy subjunctive phrase. Deo so sin amun nomenoi, right? So there's like all this sort of like really just the way you put it in your the way you put it in your mouth to like pronounce it, right? It honestly even feels like it's enunciative of this sort of like I don't know, like it's all it just all feels very subjunctive, right? All this stuff feels very subjunctive, and I think that it's in sort of we have this same line here, poinen tatakon taperon onukes peloron, right? So this sort of like uppy downy line, right, with the accents. It's in sort of opposition to that, right? And also with this idea that, this is what somebody who is wise in spirit would say. Because usually, the thumatic aspect is go out there and fight. But here, this is hos sapatu moi, right? So such would one who is wise, right, say of omens. And also, this is... this is also somebody that the folk would give ear, right? Not just give ear, but be convinced, right? So the question is that enough for Hector? Is that enough to be convinced by Hector? And I like this passage because you can apply this framework of, messages from beyond coming in, talking to you in conjunction with rules that you think you have to hold of yourself, in many different aspects in life. We'll see what Hector thinks tomorrow. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.